So how does it feel to be here today? Are you excited about this movie?
Very excited. I haven't had a chance to see it in all of its polished off, finished glory yet, so we're looking forward to that.
So when you approach a film like this with as much digital CGI, all of the above, what is the first thing you're thinking on day one of filming this movie?
The first thing you have to do is in our process, the first thing you do is you try to figure out what the challenges are going to be, right? We tend to work in a lot of movies that push the bounds, that are things that haven't been done or done a lot before. So our part of the process is trying to figure out how we're going to achieve that. Can we do a digital human? Of course, those are the first questions you ask, because if you say no at that point, then everybody walks their separate ways and it's over. But once you get past the point of can you do it, you have to figure out how to do it. And it's not a binary question. You don't say, can we do it? Yes. Everybody walks away and you go off and do it. You have to say, what is going to be challenging about doing it? What's the hard part about achieving digital human? What do we have to be cautious of? What about the eyes gives away a synthetic creature? What about the lips? What about the skin? Performance, all these things have to be considered. And then the other thing we have to do at the very beginning of the process is consider the logistical implications on the filming process itself, right? We want to have two Will Smiths, means that we have to have Will Smith act the scene twice, which means that we can't just shoot it once, we have to shoot it twice. And what's the smartest way to do that as we go about making the film?
That's wild that he had to do the performance twice. How many takes did he say and see both figures, and how many times did he say, no, let's do it again, I'm not sure I like that? Did he give you any takes, any advice?
That's solely between him and the director. Our goal is just to make sure that he feels liberated and free enough to be able to do that properly. One of the things we strive for as much as possible is to make sure that during the filmmaking process, both the actor and the director don't feel limited by the technology. We don't want to ever be the wall in between the creative process. But yeah, it was wild watching him act and do the performances. But the way that we shot the film, we shot him with a stand-in actor during the actual principal part of photography, and then towards the end of the shoot in Budapest, we actually set up a mocap stage and flipped the roles and had Will perform the role of Junior, and the stand-in now sort of pantomime the lines of Henry. And it was the first time, because we kind of did little comp tricks, and we did all sorts of little tricks to put them together. So even though we hadn't created the digital human at that point, we're actually starting to see Will Smith and hear Will Smith talking to Will Smith. And it was just this kind of thing. It was transcendent. You start to realize what the whole point of the movie is and what's being achieved with this. Yeah, it was really fun.
And what was your very first impression of Will when you met him?
Oh, everybody has, I don't know. I was blown away by how professional he is and how genuine he is. People can be the most fantastic human beings, but we all have different expectations of the people that we see that we've never met. And once you meet them, you start to find that they're not quite the person you thought they were. Will was totally the opposite case. He comes across as a funny guy. He comes across as a nice guy, and you meet him and you realize that if anything, he's actually even nicer behind the camera. He's an incredibly genuine man who makes an effort to connect with everybody around him. So.
And last question, 10 years from now, when you think back to the making of this movie, what is one standout moment that you will conjure? If there can only be one.
God, that's a hard one. I hadn't even thought of that one before. Not really a moment, but just the overall arc. Working with Aang, he is such a talented director, which, you get lucky enough to work with a lot of directors, and you're going to work with a lot of very talented people. But he's also possibly one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met. It's just, he makes you want to work on his film by being genuine and by being open and transparent. And, it's that kind of process that just makes you go, when he's not in the room, everybody's going, all right, what can we do to make this better? Because we have to do right by that guy. So,
that's awesome. And everyone involved in this movie was amazing. So what a team to have. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the film.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.